Om Ganana Tva Ganapatigam Vamahe Kavin Kavinamupavashravasam Jeshtarajam Brahmanaspada Anushrunnoti Biseda Sadhanam. Om Mahaganadipataye Namaha. Om Keshwaya Namaha. Om Naraha. Om Madhvaya Namaha. Om Govindaya Namaha. Om Vishnuve Namaha. Matsudranaya Namaha. Trivikramaya Namaha. Vamanaya Namaha. Sridharaya Namaha. ऋषिकेशाय नमः पद्मनाभाय नमः दामोदराय नमः संकर्षणाय नमः वासुदेवाय नमः प्रद्युम्नाय नमः अनिरुद्धाय नमः पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः दोक्षाय नमः नारसिंहाय नमः अच्युताय नमः जनार्दनाय नमः उपेन्द्राय नमः हरि नमः श्री कृष्णाय हरि ओम गुरुभ्यो नमः. Dear friends, we came to the 17th chapter of Ashtama Skanda of Mahabhagavata Purana. In this chapter, Lord Narayana agreed to become a son of Adithi after Adithi performed a Payavrata ceremony for 12 continuous days as per husband advice. Lord, who was certainly very pleased with her, appeared before her with 4 hands and dressed in yellow garments. As soon as Aditi saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead present before her, she immediately got up and with great ecstatic love for the Lord, she fell to the ground to offer respectable obeisances. Aditi's throat was choked because of ecstatic feelings, and her entire body trembled with devotion. Although she wanted to offer suitable prayers to the Lord, she could not do anything, and thus she remained silent for some time. Then, feeling solace, observing the beauty of the Lord, she offered her prayers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the super soul of all living entities, was very pleased with her, and he agreed to become her son by incarnating as a planetary expansion, as a Vamana Avathara. He was already pleased by Kashyapa Muni's austerities, and thus he agreed to become the son and maintain the gods. After giving his word of honor to this effect, the Lord Narayana disappeared. Following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aditi engaged in service of Kashyapa Muni, who could see by Samadhi that the Lord was within him, and who thus placed his semen in the womb of Aditi. Lord Brahma, who is known Hiranyagarbha, understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead had entered Aditi's womb. Thus, he offered prayers to the Lord Narayana. So, the chapter starts with the Shuka Uvacha. Ityukta saditi Rajan Bhartra Kashyapena vai Anutrishta Padmatamidam Dwadashahama Matadandrita. Sukadeva Maharshi is telling King Parikshit Maharaja, O King, after Aditi was thus advised by her husband Kashyapa Muni, she strictly followed his instructions without laziness and in this way performed a Payavrata ritualistic ceremony. For advancement in anything, especially in spiritual life, one must strictly follow the bona fide instructions of the teacher. Aditi did this. So she strictly followed the instructions of her husband and who is also acted as a guru, as confirmed in the Vedic injunctions. Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva para bhaktir yata devi tato guruhu. One should have complete faith in the guru, who helps the disciple make progress in spiritual life. As soon as the disciple thinks independently, not caring for the instructions of the spiritual master, he is a failure. Aditi very strictly followed the instructions of her husband and spiritual master, and thus she was successful in getting the blessings of Lord Narayana. With full undiverted attention, Aditi thought of the Supreme Personal Godhead, and in this way brought under full control of her mind and senses. Which resembled forceful horses, she concentrated her mind upon the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. With full undiverted attention, Aditi thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and in this way brought under full control her mind and senses, which resembled forceful horses. which resembled the forceful horses. She concentrated her mind upon the Supreme Personality of Lord Narayana. Thus, she performed the ritualistic ceremony known as Payovratha. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Personality of Lord Narayana favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. One simply has to concentrate upon the lotus feet of Vasudeva Krishna. Then the mind and senses will be controlled, and one can engage himself fully in the devotional service of the Lord. The devotee does not need to practice the Hatha Yoga system to control the mind and senses. His mind and senses are automatically controlled because of unalloyed devotion service to the Lord Narayana. My dear king, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, dressed in yellow garments and bearing a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus in Chaturbhuja Rupa. It is called Chaturbhuja Rupa with Chakra, Shanka Chakra Gada, and a lotus flower. His four hands then appeared before Adithi. Chaturbhuja Rupa, Narayana presented himself as a Chaturbhuja Rupa in front of Adithi. When the Supreme Person of Godhead became visible to Adithi's eyes, Adithi was so overwhelmed by transcendental bliss that she at once stood up and then fell to the ground like a rod to offer the Lord her respectable obeisances. Aditi stood silently with folded hands, unable to offer prayers to the Lord. Because of her transcendental bliss, tears filled her eyes and the hairs on her body stood on end. Because she could see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, she felt ecstasy and her body trembled. O Maharaja Parikshit, the gods, Aditi then began offering her prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a faltering voice and with great love. She appeared as though drinking through her eyes. The Supreme Personality of Lord, who is the husband of the goddess of fortune Mahalakshmi, the enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, and the master and lord of the entire universe. After observing the Payovrata for 12 days, Aditi was certain that the Lord had appeared before her as Ramapati, the husband of all good fortune, just to offer her sons all opulences. She had performed the yajna of Payovrata under the direction of her husband Kashyapa, and therefore she thought of Lord as Yajnapati. She was completely satisfied to see the master and Lord of the entire universe come before her to fulfill her desire. The goddess Aditi said, O master and enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, O infallible and most famous person, whose name the goddess Aditi said, O master and enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, O infallible and most famous person, whose name when chanted spreads all good fortune, O original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Controller, shelter of all holy places, you are the shelter of all poor suffering living entities in the universe, and you have appeared to diminish their suffering. Please be kind to us and spread our good fortune. Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of those who observe the vows and austerities, and it is he who bestows benedictions upon them. He is worshipable for the devotee throughout the devotee's life, for he never breaks his promises. As he says in Bhagavad Gita, Kaunteya prati jnanahi na me bhakta panashyati. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. The Lord is addressed here as Achyuta, the infallible, because he takes care of his devotees. Anyone inimical to the devotees is certainly vanquished by the mercy of the Lord. The Lord is the source of the Ganga water, and therefore he is addressed here as Tirthapada, indicating that all the holy places are at his lotus feet, or that whatever he touches with his foot becomes a holy place. Bhagavad Gita, for example, begins with the words of Dharma, Kshetre, Kurukshetre. Because the Lord was present in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it became a Dharma Kshetra, a place of pilgrimage. Therefore, the Pandavas, who were extremely religious, were assured of victory. Any place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead displays his pastimes, such as Vrindavana or Dwaraka, becomes a holy place. The chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is pleasing to the ear, and it expands good fortune to the audience who hears it chanted. Owing to the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Adithi was fully assured that the troublesome condition created for her by the demons would now be ended. My Lord, you are the all-pervading universal form, fully independent creator, maintainer and destroyer of this universe. Although you engage your energy in the matter, you are always situated in our original form and never fall from that position. For your knowledge is infallible and always suitable to any situation. You are never bewildered by illusion. O my Lord, let me offer my respectable obeisance unto you. O unlimited one, if your lordship is satisfied, one can very easily obtain lifetime as long as that of Lord Brahma, a body either in the upper, lower, or middle planetary systems, unlimited material opulence, religion, economic development, and satisfaction of the senses, full transcendental knowledge, and the 8 yogic perfections. What to speak of petty achievements as conquering one rivals? Sukadeva Maharshi said to Parikshit Raja, best of the Bharata dynasty, when the lotus-eyed Lord, the supersoul of all living entities, was thus worshipped by Adithi, he replied as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana said, O mother of the other gods, I have already understood your long cherished desires for the welfare of your sons, who have been deprived of all opulences and driven from their residence by their enemies from Amaravati palace. The Supreme Personality of Godhead being situated in everyone's heart and especially in the hearts of his devotees. Supreme Personal Godhead Narayana being situated in everyone's heart and especially in the hearts of his devotees is always ready to help devotees in adversity since he knows everything. He knows how things are to be adjusted and he does the needful to relieve the suffering of his devotee. O Devi, O Goddess Aditi Devi, I can understand that you want to regain your sons and be together with them to worship me. After defeating the enemies in the battle and retrieving your abode and opulences, you want to see the wives of the demons lamenting for the death of their husbands when these demons, the enemies of our sons, are killed in battle by the demigod, of whom Indra is the chief. You want your sons to regain their lost reputation and opulences and live again on their heavenly planet in Amaravati Palace in Indraloka as usual. O Mother of the Gods, in my opinion, almost all the chiefs of the demons are now unconquerable, for they are being protected by Brahmanas, whom the Supreme Lord always favors. Thus, the use of power against them now will not at all be a source of happiness for your children. When a person is favored by Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, no one can defeat him. Even the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not interfere when one is protected by Brahmana. It is said, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. The Lord's first inclination is to give all benedictions to the cows and Brahmanas. Therefore, if Brahmanas favor someone, the Lord does not interfere, nor can anyone interfere with this happiness of such persons. Yet because I have been satisfied by the activities of your O goddess Aditi, I must find some means to favor you. For worshipping me never goes in vain. but certainly gives the desired result according to what one desires. You have prayed to me and properly worshipped me by performing the great Payovrata ceremony for the sake of protecting your sons. Because of Kashyapa Muni's austerities, I shall agree to come as your son and thus protect your other sons. Always thinking of me as being situated within the body of your husband, Kashyapa, go worship your husband who has been purified by his austerity. So Lord Narayana says, go and worship your husband. He's a guru as well. He's a best of austerity man. Within the body of your husband, Kashyapa, go worship your husband who has been purified by his austerity. O lady, even if someone inquires, you should not disclose this fact to anyone. That which is very confidential is successful if kept secret. Shukadeva Maharshi said, after speaking in this way, the Supreme Person of Godhead disappeared from that very spot. Adithi, having received the extremely valuable benediction that the Lord would appear as her son, considered herself very successful, and with great devotion she approached her husband. Being situated in a meditational trance, Kashyapa Maharshi, whose vision is never mistaken, could see that plenary portion of the Supreme Person of Godhead Narayana had entered within him. O king, as the wind promotes friction between the two pieces of wood and thus gives rise to the fire, Kashyapa Muni, whose transcendental position was fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and transferred his potency into the womb of Adithi. A forest fire begins when the two pieces of wood rub against one another, being agitated by the wind. Actually, however, fire belongs to neither to the wood nor to the wind. It is always different from the both. Similarly, here it is to be understood that the union of Kashyapa Muni and Adithi was not like the sexual intercourse of ordinary human beings. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has nothing to do with the human secretions of the sexual intercourse. He is always completely aloof from such material combinations. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, I am equal towards all living entities, none less to protect devotees and kill the demons who were a disturbing element. The Lord entered the womb of Adithi. Therefore, this is a transcendental pastime of the Lord. This should not be misunderstood. One should not think that the Lord became the son of Adithi the way an ordinary child is born because of sexual intercourse between a man and woman. Here, it may also be appropriate to explain, in these days of controversy, the origin of life, the life force of the living entity, the soul, is different from the womb and semen of the human being. Although the conditioned soul has nothing to do with the reproductive cells of a human man or woman, he is placed into the proper situation because of his work. Karmana, Daiva, Netrana. Life is not, however, a product of two secretions, but is independent of all material elements. As fully described in the Bhagavad Gita, the living entity is not subject to any material secretions. He can neither be burnt by fire, cut by sharp weapons, moistened by water, nor dried by the air. He is completely different from the physical elements. But by superior arrangement, he is put into these material elements. He is always aloof from material contact. Asangoha ayam purushaha. But because he is placed in a material condition, he suffers the reactions of the material modes of nature. The living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus, thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Although the living entity is aloof from the material elements, he is put into the material conditions and thus he must suffer the reactions of material activities. When Lord Brahma understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana was now within the womb of Adithi, he began to offer prayers to Lord by reciting transcendental names. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Supreme Personality of Godhead is automatically pleased by such Sankirtana. It is not that Supreme Personality of Godhead is absent. He is present there. And when a devotee utters the transcendental name, it is not a material sound. Therefore, Supreme Personality of Godhead is naturally pleased. A devotee knows that the Lord is present everywhere and that one can please him simply by chanting his holy name. Lord Brahma said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all glory is unto you, who are glorified by all and whose activities are all uncommon. I offer my respectable obeisance unto you, O Lord of the Transcendentalist, controller of the three modes of nature. I offer my respectable obeisance unto you again and again. Om Keshwaya Namaha, Narayana Namaha, Madhavaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, Vishnuaya Namaha, Matsudraya Namaha, Trivikramaya Namaha, Vamanaya Namaha, Sridharaya Namaha, Hrishikeshaya Namaha, Padmanabhaya Namaha, Damodaraya Namaha, Sankarshnaya Namaha, Vasudevaya Namaha, Pradyumnaya Namaha, Niruddhaya Namaha, Purushottamaya Namaha, Dokshinaya Namaha, Narasimhaya Namaha, Achyutaya Namaha, Jahadraya Namaha, Upendraya Namaha, Hare Namaha, Sri Krishnaya Namaha. We repeat the 24 names of Lord Narayana because he gone into the Adithi's womb. And Lord Brahma also submitted his prayer. So we also submit our prayers to Lord Narayana by this way. I offer my respectable obeisance unto you, the all-pervading Lord Vishnu, who have entered the chorus of the hearts of all living entities. All the three worlds reside within your navel. Yet you are above the three worlds. Formerly you appeared as the son of Prishni. To you, the supreme creator, who are understood only through Vedic knowledge, I offer my respectful obeisance. So, Lord Brahma, O my Lord, you are the beginning, the manifestation and the ultimate dissolution of the three worlds, and you are celebrated in the Vedas as the reservoir of unlimited potencies. Supreme Person, O my Lord, as waves attract branches and leaves that have fallen into the deep water, you, the supreme eternal time factor, attract everything in this universe. The time factor is sometimes described as Kala Stotra. The time factor is sometimes described as Kala Stotra, waves of time. Everything in this material world is within the time factor and is being carried away by waves of attraction, which present the Supreme Personality of Godhead. O my Lord, you are the original generator of all the living entities, stationary or moving, and you are also the generator of the Prajapatis. O my Lord, as a boat is the only hope for a person drowning in the water, you are the only shelter for the gods who are now bereft of their heavenly position. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of 8th canto, 17th chapter of Srimad Bhagavata Purana, entitled Supreme Lord Agrees to Become Adithi's Son. So we are going to the 18th chapter, where appearance of Vamana as a son of Adithi is taking place. This chapter describes how Lord Vamanadeva appeared and how he went to the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Bali, who received him well and fulfilled his desire by offering him benedictions. So Shuka Uvacha, on the 18th chapter, starts with the Shuka Uvacha. Ittam viranchastu karma viryaha pradurbo bhuvamrata pari bhuridabhyam chaturpajashanka gada prarakam pitangavasa nalanayate kshanaha. Nalinayate kshanaha. Shukadeva Maharshi said, after Lord Brahma had thus spoken, glorifying the Supreme Lord's Narayana's activities and prowess, the Supreme Godhead, who is never subject to death like an ordinary living being, appeared from the womb of Adithi. His 4 hands were decorated with a conch shell, club, lotus, and disk. He was dressed in yellow garments, and his eyes appeared like the petals of blooming lotus. The word Amritabhuva is significant in this verse. The Lord sometimes appears like an ordinary child, like taking birth. But this does not mean that he is subject to the birth, death, and old age. One must be very intelligent to understand the appearance and the activities of the Supreme Lord Narayana in his incarnations. Thus is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. One should try to understand that the Lord's appearance and disappearance and his activities are all divyam or transcendental. The Lord has nothing to do with the material activities. One who understands the appearance, disappearance, and activities of the Lord Narayana is immediately liberated. After giving up his body, he never again has to accept material body, but is transferred to the spiritual world. Svaktadeham punar janma naiti mam iti sa Arjuna. The body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, blackish in complexion, was free from all the inebrities. His lotus face, decorated with earrings resembling sharks, appeared very beautiful, and on his bosom was the mark of Srivatsa. He wore bangles on his wrists, armlets, and his arms, a helmet on his head, a belt on his waist, a sacred thread across his chest, and ankle bells decorating his lotus feet. An uncommonly beautiful garland of flowers decorated his bosom, and because the flowers are extremely fragrant, a large group of bees making their natural humming sounds invaded them for honey. When the Lord appeared wearing the Kaustuba mani on his neck, his indulgence vanquished the darkness in the home of the Prajapati Kashyapa. On the day of Shravana Dwadashi, the 12th day of the bright fortnight in the month of Bhadraja, when moon came into the Bhadrapada, when moon came into the lunar mansion Shravana, at the auspicious moment of Abhijit Muhurtam, the Lord Narayana appeared in this universe as a Vamana Avathara. Considering the Lord's appearance very auspicious, all the stars and planets from the sun to the Saturn were munificently charitable. O King, when the Lord appeared on Dwadashi, the 12th day of the moon, the sun was at the meridian. As every learned scholar knows, this Dwadashi is called Vijaya Dwadashi because it's a Vamana Avathara taken place. Conch shells, kettle drums, panamas, and anakas vibrated in concert. The sound of these and various other instruments was tumultuous. Pritaschapsaraso Nrityan Nangandharva Praharajugu Tustur Manayo Deva Manama Pitrogmayaha. Being very pleased, the celestial dancing of the girls Apsaras danced in jubilation. The best Gandharvas sang songs, and the great sages, demigods, great sages and gods, Manus, Pitas, and fire gods, Agni, offered prayers to satisfy the Lord Vamana. The Siddhas, Vidyadharas, Kimpurushas, Kinnaras, Charanas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Suparnas, the best of serpents, and the followers of the gods all showered flowers in Adithi's residence, covering the entire house while glorifying and praising the Lord and dancing. When Adithi saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead who had appeared from her own womb, having accepted the transcendental body by his own spiritual potency, she was struck with wonder and was very happy. Upon seeing the child, Prajapati Kashyapa exclaimed, Jaya Jaya, in great happiness and wonder. Yet the Lord appeared in his original form with ornaments and weapons in his hands, although this ever existing form is not visible in the material world. He nonetheless appeared in this form. Then, in the presence of his father and mother, he assumed the form of a Vamana, a Brahmana dwarf, a brahmachari, just like a theatrical actor. When the great sages saw the Lord as the brahmachari dwarf Vamana, they were certainly very pleased. Thus they placed before them Kashyapa Muni, the Prajapati, and performed all the ritualistic ceremonies such as birthday ceremony. According to the Vedic civilization, when a child is born in the family of a Brahmana, the birthday ceremony known as Jata Karma is first performed, and then other ceremonies are also gradually performed. But when this Vamana Rupa appeared in the form of a Votu or Brahmachari, his sacred thread ceremony was also performed immediately, soon after the birth. At the sacred thread ceremony of Vamana Deva, the sun god personally uttered the Gayatri mantra. Brihaspati offered a sacred thread, Kashyapa Muni offered a straw belt. At the sacred turban ceremony of Vamana Deva, the sun god personally uttered the Gayatri mantra. Brihaspati offered the sacred thread, and Kashyapa Muni offered a straw belt. Mother Earth gave him a deer skin, and the demigod of the moon, who is Mother Earth gave him a deer skin, and the god's moon, who is the king of forest, gave him a Brahmadanda, the rod of Brahmachari. His mother Adithi gave him a cloth for underwear, and deity presiding over the heavenly kingdom offered him an umbrella. O King Lord Brahma offered a water pot to the inexhaustible Supreme Personality of Godhead. The seven sages offered him kusha grass, and Mother Saraswati gave him a string of Rudraksha beads. Mother Saraswati gave him a string of Rudraksha beads. When Vamana had thus been given the sacred thread, Kubera, king of the Yakshas, gave him a pot of begging alms, and Mother Bhagavati, the wife of Lord Shiva and most chaste mother of the entire universe, gave him his first alms. Having thus been welcomed by everyone, Lord Vamana, the best of brahmacharis, exhibited his Brahman infusions. Thus he surprised in beauty that entire assembly, which was filled with the great saintly Brahmanas. After Lord Sri Vamana set sacrificial fire, he offered worship and performed a fire sacrifice, Agnikharya, on the sacrificial field. When the Lord heard that Bali Maharaja was performing Ashwamedha sacrifice under the patronage of Brahmanas belonging to the Bhrigu dynasty, under the leadership of Shukracharya, the Supreme Lord, who is full in every respect, proceeded there to show his mercy to Bali Maharaja. By his weight, he pushed down the earth with every step. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Akilasara Sambrata. In other words, he is the proprietor of everything essential in this universe. When the Lord heard that Bali Maharaja was performing Ashwamedha sacrifices under the patronage Brahmanas belonging to the Bhrigu dynasty, Shukracharya, the Supreme Lord, who is full in every respect, proceeded there to show his mercy to Bali Maharaja. By his weight, he pushed down the earth with every step he put. the Supreme Personal Godhead, is Akilasara Sambrata. In other words, he is the proprietor of everything essential in this material world. Thus, although the Lord was going to Bali Maharaja big to beg something, he is always complete and has nothing to beg from anybody. Indeed, he is so powerful that he is the proprietor of everything essential in this material world. Thus, although the Lord was going to Bali Maharaja to beg something, he is always complete and has nothing to beg from anyone. Indeed, he is so powerful that in his full opulence, he passed down the surface of the earth at every step. While engaged in performing the sacrifice in the field known as Bhrugu Kacha, on the northern bank of the Narmada River, the Brahminical priest, the descendants of Bhrugu Maharshi, saw Vamana Deva to be like the sun rising nearly. O king, because of Vamana's bright effulgence, the priest, along with the Bali Maharaja and all the members of the assembly, were robbed of their splendor. Thus, they began to ask one another whether the sun god himself, Sanat Kumara, or the fire god, had personally come to see the sacrificial ceremony and yajna. While the priests of the Bhrugu dynasty, Shukracharya, and their disciples talked and argued in various ways, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vamanadeva, holding in his hands the rod, the umbrella, and the water pot, while the priests of the Bhrigu dynasty and their disciples talked and argued in various ways, Supreme Personality of Godhead Vamana, holding in his hands the rod, the umbrella, and a water pot full of water, entered the arena of Ashwamedha sacrifice of Bali Maharaja. Appearing as a Brahmana boy, wearing a belt of straw, a sacred thread, an upper garment of deer skin, and matted locks of hair, Lord Vamana entered the arena of sacrifice. His brilliant effulgence diminished the brilliancy of all the priests and their disciples, who thus stood from their seats and welcomed the Lord properly by offering obeisances to Vamanadeva. Bali Maharaja, jubilant at seeing Lord Vamana, whose beautiful limbs contributed to equally to the beauty of his entire body, offered him a seat with great devotion. So everybody got stood up, both all the priests who were assembled doing Ashwamedha Yajna by seeing Vamana. They all, thus offering a proper reception to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vamana, who is always beautiful to the liberated souls, Bali Maharaja worshipped him by washing his lotus feet. Lord Shiva, the best of gods, who carries on his forehead the emblem of the moon, receives on his head with great devotion to the Ganga water emanating from the toe of Vishnu. Being aware religious principles, Bali Maharaja knew this. Consequently, following in the footsteps of Lord Shiva, he also placed in his head the water that had washed the Lord's lotus feet. Lord Shiva is known as Gangadhara, as he possesses Ganga on his head, or one who carries the water of the Ganga on his head. On Lord Shiva's forehead is the emblem of the half moon. To give supreme respect to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva placed the water of the Ganges above this emblem. This example should be followed by everyone, or at least by every devotee, because Lord Shiva is one of the Mahajanas. Similarly, Maharaja Bali also later became a Mahajana. One Mahajana follows another Mahajana, and by following the parampara system of Mahajana activities, one can become advanced in spiritual consciousness. The water of the Ganges is sacrificed because it emanates from the toe of the Lord Vishnu. Bali Maharaja washed the lotus feet of Vamana, and the water with which he did so became equal to Ganga. Bali Maharaja, who perfectly knew all these religious principles, therefore took that water on his head, following in the footsteps of Lord Shiva. Bali Maharaja then said to Lord Vamana, O Brahmana, I offer you my hearty welcome and my respectable obeisances. Please let us know what we may do for you. We think of you as the personified austerity of the great Brahmana sages. O my Lord, because you have kindly arrived at our home, all my forefathers are satisfied. Our family and entire dynasty have been sanctified, and the sacrifice we are performing is now complete because of your presence. O son of Brahmana, today the fire sacrifice is ablaze according to the injunction of this Shastra, and I have been freed from all the sinful reactions of my life by the water that has washed your lotus feet. O my Lord, by the touch of your small lotus feet, the entire surface of the world has been sanctified. O son of Brahmana, it appears that you have come here to ask me for something. Therefore, whatever you want, you may take from me. O best of those who are worshipable, you may take from me a cow, a gold, a furnished house, palatable food, and drink. The daughter of Brahmana, your wife, prosperous villages, horses, elephants, chariots, or whatever you desire. So this is what the Lord Parikshit, Lord Bali Chakravarthy offered his obeisancy, and he offered everything what he can in this name. Brahmana, your wife, he says, the daughter of a Brahmana, your wife, prosperous villagers, horses, elephants, chariots, or whatever they desire, he is ready to give. Thus, and the Bhaktivedanta purports of 8th canto, 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Vamanadeva, the dwarf incarnation of Narayana, appeared. Lord Vamanadeva begs charity from Bali Maharaja. In this next chapter 19, Bali Maharaja, Vamana requested Bali Maharaja. In the 19th chapter, describes how Lord Vamanadeva asked for 3 places of land in charity, how Bali Maharaja agreed to his proposal, and how Shukracharya forbade Bali Maharaja to fulfill Lord Vamana's request. When Bali Maharaja, thinking Vamana to be the son of Brahmana, told him to ask for anything he liked, Lord Vamanadeva praised Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha for their heroic activities, and after thus praising the family in which Bali Maharaja had been born, he begged the king for 3 pieces of land. Bali Maharaja agreed to give this land in charity. Since this was very insignificant, but Shukracharya, who could understand that Vamana was a Vishnu, the friend of the gods, forbade Bali Maharaja to give this land. Shukracharya advised Bali Maharaja to withdraw his promise. He explained that in subduing others, in joking, in responding to danger, in acting for the welfare of others, and so on, one could refuse to fulfill the one's promise, and there would be no fault. But this philosophy, Shukracharya tried to dissuade Bali Chakravarthy from giving land to Lord Vamanadeva. Shuka Maharshi continued, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, came in the form of Vamana, heard Bali Maharaja speaking in this pleasing way, he was very satisfied, for Bali Maharaja had spoken in terms of religious principle. Thus the Lord began to praise him. So Bhagavan Vacha, so Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana praised Bali. O king, you are indeed exalted because your present advisors are the Brahmanas, who are descendants of Bhrigu Maharshi, and because your instructor for your future life is your grandfather, the peaceful and venerable Prahalada Maharaja. Your statements are very true, and they completely agree with religious etiquette. They are in keeping with the behavior of your family, and they enhance your reputation. Prahalada Maharaj is a vivid example of pure devotee of Narayana. Someone might argue that since Prahlada Maharaja, even though very old, was attached to his family and specifically to his grandson Bali Maharaja, how could he be an ideal example? Therefore, this verse uses the word prashantaha. A devotee is always sober. He is never disturbed by any conditions. Even if a devotee remains as a grihastha life and does not renounce material possessions, he should still be understood to be prasanta, sober, because of his pure devotion to Lord Narayana. I know that even until now, no one taking birth in your family has been poor-minded or misery. No one has refused to give charity to Brahmanas, nor after promising to give charity has anyone failed to fulfill this promise. O King Bali, never in your dynasty has the low-minded king was born, who upon being requested has refused charity to Brahmanas in holy places or a fight to Kshatriyas on a battlefield. And your dynasty is even more glorious due to the presence of Prahlada Maharaja, who is like the beautiful moon in the sky. The symptoms of Kshatriya are given in the Bhagavad Gita. One of the qualifications is the willingness to give charity, dana. A Kshatriya does not refuse to give charity when requested by Brahmana, nor can he refuse to fight with another Kshatriya. A king who does refuse is called low-minded. In the dynasty of Bali Maharaja, there were no such low-minded kings. It was in your dynasty that Hiranyaksha was born. Carrying only his own club, he wandered the globe alone. He wandered the globe alone, without assistance to conquer all directions, and no hero he met could rival him. When delivering the earth from the Garbhodaka sea, Lord Vishnu, in his incarnation as a boar, killed Hiranyaksha, who had appeared before him. The fight was severe, and the Lord killed Hiranyaksha with a great difficulty. Later, as the Lord thought about the uncommon prowess of Hiranyaksha, he felt himself victorious indeed. When Hiranyakashipu heard that the news of his brothers being killed, with great anger, he went to the residence of Vishnu. The killer of his brother wanted to kill Lord Vishnu. Seeing Hiranyakashipu coming forward bearing a trident in his hand like a personified death, Lord Vishnu, the best of all mystics and a knower of the progress of time, thought as follows: Who, wheresoever I go, Hiranyakashipu will follow me, as death follows all living entities. Therefore, it is better for me to enter the core of his heart, for then, because of his power to see only eternally, he may well not see me. Lord Vamana continued, O king of the demons, Bali Maharaja, after Lord Vishnu made his decision, he entered the body of his enemy Hiranyakashipu, who was running after him with a great force. In a subtle body inconceivable to Hiranyakashipu, Lord Vishnu, who was in great anxiety, entered Hiranyakashipu's nostril along with his breath. Supreme Personality Godhead is already in the core of everyone's heart. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridayasi Arjuna Tishtati. Logically, therefore, it was not at all difficult for Lord Vishnu to enter Hiranyakashipu's body. The word Vivigna Chetaha, very anxious, is significant. It is not that the Lord Vishnu was afraid of Hiranyakashipu, rather because of compassion, Lord Vishnu was in anxiety about how to act for his welfare. Upon seeing that the residence of Lord Vishnu was vacant, Hiranyakashipu began searching the Lord Vishnu everywhere. Angry at not seeing him, Hiranyakashipu screamed loudly and searched the entire universe, including the surface of the earth, the higher planetary systems, all directions and all the caves and oceans. But Hiranyakashipu was the greatest hero, did not see Vishnu anywhere. Unable to see him, Hiranyakashipu said, I have searched the entire universe, but I could not find Vishnu, who was killed by my brother, who was killed by my brother. Therefore, he must certainly have gone to that place from which no one returns. In other words, he must not have, he must now have been dead. Unable to see him, Hiranyakashipu said, I have searched the entire universe, but I could not find Vishnu, who was killed by my brother. Therefore, he must certainly have gone to that place from which no one returns. In other words, he must now dead. Atheists generally follow Bahuda philosophical conclusion at the death everything is finished. Hiranyakashipu, being an atheist, thought this way because Lord Vishnu was not visible to him. He thought that the Lord was dead. Even today, many people follow the philosophy that God is dead, but God is never dead. Even the living entity who is a part of God never dies. Na jayate mrityu ve kadachit. For the soul, there is never birth or death. This is the statement of Bhagavad Gita. Even the ordinary living entity never takes birth or dies. What then to be said of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The Supreme Godhead, Narayana, is the chief of all living entities. He certainly never takes birth or dies. Ajopi san avyaktam. Both the Lord and the living entity exist as unborn and inexhaustible personalities. Thus, Hiranyakashipu's conclusion that Vishnu was dead was wrong, as indicated by the words Yatho Navartrite Human. There is certainly a spiritual kingdom, and if the living entity goes there, he never returns to the material world. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Materially speaking, every living entity dies. Death is inevitable. But those who are karmis, jnanis, and yogis return to their material world after the death, whereas bhaktas do not. Of course, the bhakta is not completely perfect. He takes birth in the material world again and again, but in the very exalted position, either in a rich family or a family of the purest brahmanas. Just to finish his development, the spiritual consciousness, those who have completed the course of Krishna consciousness and are of Godhead, just to finish the development in spiritual consciousness, those who have completed the course of Krishna consciousness and are free from material desire return to the abode of Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana. Goloka Vrindavana. Here the same fact is stated. Yato nivartate puman. Any person who goes back home, back to Godhead, does not return to this material world. Hiranyakashipu's anger against Lord Vishnu persisted until his death. Other people in the bodily concept of life maintain anger only because of false ego and a great influence of ignorance. Your father, Virochana, the son of Maharaja Prahlad, was very affectionate toward Brahmanas, although he knew very well that it was the gods who had come to him in the dress of Brahmanas. At their request, he delivered to them the duration of his life. Maharaja Virochana, Bali's father, was so pleased with the Brahmana community that even though he knew that those approaching him for a charity were the gods in the dress of Brahmanas, he nonetheless agreed to give it. You also have observed the principle followed by great personalities who are also householder Brahmanas by your forefathers and by great heroes who were extremely famous for their exalted activities. O king of the Daityas, Mahabali Raja, from your majesty, who came from such a noble family and who are able to give charity munificently, I ask only 3 pieces of land to the measurement of my steps. The Vamana Deva wanted 3 pieces of land according to the measurement of his footsteps. He did not want more than necessary. But although he pretended to be an ordinary human child, he actually wanted the land comprising the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. This was just to show the prowess of the Supreme Person of Godhead. O King, controller of the entire universe, although you are very munificent and are able to give me as much land as I want, I do not want anything. I do not want anything from you that's unnecessary. If a learned Brahmana takes charity from others only according to his needs, he does not become entangled in sinful activities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead says, O Bali Maharaja said, O son of Brahmana, that is Vamana, your instructions are as good as those learned and elderly persons. Nonetheless, you are a boy and your intelligence is insufficient. Thus, you are not very prudent in regard to your self-intersect. Supreme Personal Godhead, being full in himself, actually has nothing to want for his left self-interest. I am able to give you an entire island because I am the proportional proprietor of the 3 divisions of the universe. You have come to take something from me and have pleased me above your sweet words, but you are asking the only. So the Bali Maharaja said, I am able to give you the entire island because I am the proprietor of the 3 divisions of the universe. You have come to take something from me and have pleased me by your sweet words. But you are asking only 3 pieces of land. Therefore, you are not very intelligent. Bali thought, he is not intelligent. O small boy, one who approaches me to beg something should not have asked anything more anywhere. Therefore, if you wish, you may ask from me as much land as you will suffice to maintain you according to your needs. That's what Bali said. But Vamana said, I only have 3 steps. Personality of Godhead Narayana in the form of Vamana, even the entirety of whatever there may be within the 3 worlds to satisfy one's senses cannot satisfy a person whose senses are uncontrolled. If I were not satisfied with 3 pieces of land, then surely I would not be satisfied even with possessing one of the 7 islands consisting of 9 varshas. Even if I possessed one island, I would hope to get others. We have heard that although the powerful kings like Maharaja Prithu and Maharaja Gaya achieved proprietorship over the 7 dvipas, they could not achieve satisfaction to find the end of their ambitions. One should be satisfied with whatever he achieves by his previous destiny, for discontent can never bring happiness. A person who is not self-controlled will not be happy even with possessing the 3 worlds. If the happiness in the if the happiness is the ultimate goal of life, one must be satisfied with the position in which he is placed by providence. This instruction is also given by Prahalada. My dear friends, born of demonic families, the happiness perceived with reference to its sense objects by contact with the body, can be obtained in any form of life. According to one's past fruitive activities, such happiness is automatically obtained without endeavor, just as we obtain The philosophy is perfect in regard to obtaining happiness. Material existence causes discontent in regard to fulfilling one's lusty desires and achieving more and more money. This is the cause for the continuation of material life, which is full of repeated birth and death. But one who is satisfied by what is obtained by destiny is fit for liberation from this material existence. A Brahmana who is satisfied with whatever is providentially obtained is increasingly enlightened with spiritual power. But the spiritual potency of a dissatisfied Brahmana decreases as fire diminishes in potency when water is sprinkled upon it. Therefore, O king, from you, the best of those who gave charity, I ask only 3 pieces of land. By such a gift, I shall be very pleased, for the way of happiness is to be fully satisfied, to satisfy this, fully satisfied to receive that which is absolutely needed. So Vamana Avathara Narayana said he will be pleased with the only 3 steps of land which he is asking. Shuka Goswami continued, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead had thus spoken to Bali Maharaja, Bali smiled and told him, all right, sir, take whatever you like. To confirm his promise to give Vamanadeva, he desired the desired land. He then took up his water pot, Kamandala. Understanding the Lord Vishnu's purpose, Shukracharya, the best of the learned, immediately spoke as follows to the disciple Ali, who was about to offer everything to Lord Vamana. Shukracharya said, O son of Virochana, this brahmachari in the form of a dwarf is directly the imperishable Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, accepting Kashyapa Muni as his father and Adithi as his mother. He has now appeared in order to fulfill the interest of the gods. You do not know what dangerous position you have accepted by promising to give him land. You do not know, Shukracharya said to the Bali, you do not know what dangerous position you have accepted by promising to give him land. I do not think that this promise is good for you. It will bring great harm to the Daityas. So Shukracharya trying to stop him giving the promise. This person falsely appearing as a brahmachari is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari Narayana, who has come in this form to take away all your land, wealth, beauty, power, fame, education. After taking everything from you, he will deliver it to the Indra, your enemy. You have promised to give him 3 steps of the land in charity, but when you give it, he will occupy the 3 words, you are a rascal. Don't accept that request. You do not know what a great mistake you have done. You have made just now. After giving everything to the Lord Vishnu, you will have no means of livelihood. How then shall you survive? How then shall you live? Bali Maharaja might argue that he had promised only 3 steps of land, but Shukracharya, being very learned Brahmana, immediately understood that this was a plan of Hari, who had falsely appeared there as a brahmachari. The words Muda, Mortisye, Katham reveal that Shukracharya was a Brahmin of the priestly class. Such priestly Brahmanas are mostly interested in receiving remuneration from their disciple. Therefore, then Shukracharya saw the Bali Maharaja had risked all his possessions. He understood that this would cause havoc not only to the king but also to the family of Shukracharya, who was dependent on the Maharaja Bali's mercy. This is the difference between a Vaishnava and a Smartha Brahmana. A Smartha Brahmana is always interested in the material profit, whereas the Vaishnava Brahman is interested only in satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From the statement of Shukracharya, it appears that he was all in respect of Smartha Brahmana, interested only in personal gain. Vamana will first occupy the three worlds with one step, then he will take his second step and occupy everything in outer space, and then he will expand his universal body to occupy everything. Where will you offer him the third step? Shukracharya wanted to tell Bali Maharaja how he would be cheated by Lord Vamana. You have promised 3 steps, he said, but with only 2 steps, all your possessions will be finished. How then will you give him a place for his third step? Shukracharya did not know how the Lord protects his devotee. The devotee must risk everything in his possession for his service of the Lord, but he is always protected and never defeated. By materialistic calculation, Shukracharya thought that Bali Maharaja would under no circumstance be able to keep his promise to the Brahmachari Lord Vamanadeva. You will certainly be unable to fulfill your promise, and I think that because of this inability, your eternal residence will be in hell. Learned scholars do not praise the charity which endangers one's own livelihood. Charity, sacrifice, austerity, fruitive activities are possible for one who is competent to earn his livelihood. They are not possible for one who cannot maintain himself. Therefore, one who is in full knowledge should divide his accumulated wealth in 5 parts: for religion, for reputation, for opulence, for sense gratification, and for the maintenance of his family members. Such a person is happy in this world and in the next. The Shastras enjoin that if one has money, one should divide all that he was accumulated into 5 provisions. One part of the religion, one part for religion, one part for the reputation, one part for the opulence, one part for sense gratification, and one part to maintain the members of his family. At the present, however, because people are bereft of all knowledge, they spend all their money for their satisfaction of their family. Srila Rupa Goswami taught us by his own example by using 50% of his accumulated wealth for Lord Krishna, 25% of his own self, and 25% for the members of his family. One's main purpose should be to advance Krishna consciousness. This will include dharma, artha, kama. However, because one family members expect some profit, one should also satisfy them by giving them a portion of one's accumulated wealth. This is Shastric injunction. One might argue that since you have already promised, how can you refuse, O best of the demons? Just take from me the evidence of Bhagavatha which says that a promise is truthful preceded by the word Om and untruthful if not. The Vedas enjoin that factual result of the tree of the body is the good fruits and flowers derived from it. But if the bodily tree does not exist, there is no possibility of the factual fruits and flowers. Even if the body is based on truth, even if the body is based on untruth, there cannot be factual fruits and flowers without the help of the bodily tree. This shloka explains that in relation to the material body, even the factual truth cannot exist without a touch of untruth. The Mayavadis say, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithyam. The spirit soul is truth and the external energy is untruth. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithyam. The world is Mithya and Brahma is Satya. The Vaishnava philosophers, however, do not agree with the Mayavadi philosophy. Even if, for the sake of argument, the material world is accepted as untruth, the living entity entangled in the illusory energy cannot come out of it without the help of the body. Without the help of the body, one cannot follow system of religion, nor can one speculate on philosophical perfection. Therefore, the flower and fruit, pushpam, phalam, patram, have to be obtained as a result of the body. Without the help of the body, the fruit cannot be gained. The Vaishnava philosophy therefore recommends Yukta Vairagya. It is not that all attention should be diverted for the maintenance of the body, but at the same time, one's bodily maintenance should not be neglected. As long as the body exists, one can throughout thoroughly study the Vedic instructions, and thus at the end of life the Vaishnava philosophy therefore recommends Yukta Vairagya. It is not that all attention should be diverted for the maintenance of the body, but at the same time, one's bodily maintenance should not be neglected also. As long as the body exists, one can thoroughly study the Vedic instructions, and thus at the end of the life, one can achieve perfection. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita also, 8th chapter 6 sloka. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavan Tejjate ante kalevaram. Everything is examined at the time of the death. Therefore, although the body is temporary, not eternal, one can take from it the best service and make one's life perfect. When a tree is uprooted, it immediately falls down and begins to dry up. Similarly, if one does not take care of the body, which is supposed to be untruth, in other words, if the untruth is uprooted, the body undoubtedly becomes dry. The utterance of the word Om signifies separation from one's monetary assets. In other words, by uttering this word, one becomes free from attachment to the money because of his money is taken away from him. To be without money is not very satisfactory, for in that position one cannot fulfill one's desires. In other words, by using the word Om, one becomes poverty stricken, especially when one gives charity to a poor man or a beggar. One remains unfulfilled in self-realization and in sense gratification. Therefore, the safe course is to say no. Although it is a falsehood, it protects the one completely. It draws the compassion of others towards oneself, and it gives one full facility to collect money from others for oneself. Nonetheless, if one always pleads that he was nothing, he is condemned, for he is a dead body. While living or while still breathing, he should be killed. In a flattering a woman to bring her under control, in joking, in a marriage ceremony, in earning one's livelihood when one's life is in danger, in protecting cows and Brahminical culture, or in protecting a person from an enemy's hand. Falsity is never condemned. Thus, and the Bhaktivedanta purports of 8th canto, 19th chapter of the Srimad Mahabhagavatam entitled Lord Vamana Deva begs charity from Bali Maharaja. Tomorrow we will go to chapter 20. Bali Maharaja surrenders the universe to Vamana. Om Keshwaya Namaha, Narayana Namaha, Madhvaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, Vishnuvaya Namaha, Matsudraya Namaha, Trivikramaya Namaha, Vamanaya Namaha, Sridharaya Namaha, Hrishikeshaya Namaha, Padmanabhaya Namaha, Damodaraya Namaha, Sankarshnaya Namaha, Vasudevaya Namaha, Pradyumnaya Namaha, Aniruddhaya Namaha, Aniruddhaya Purushottamaya Namaha, Dokshaya Namaha, Narasimhaya Namaha, Chitaya Namaha, Janadraya Namaha, Upendraya Namaha, Hare Namaha, Sri Krishnaya Namaha. ओम नमोस्तु अनंताय सहस्रमूर्तये सहस्रपादाक्षरभव सहस्रनाम्ने पुरुषाश्रय सहस्रकोटि उदाहरणे नमः सहस्रकोटि उदाहरणे नमः आकाशात् परितं यथागत सागरं सर्वदेव नमस्कारः श्रीकेशं प्रियत्यो नमः सर्वभेदेषु पुण्यं सर्वतीर्थेषु यत्फलं तत्फलं पुरुषमाप्तवासनात् वासुदेवस्य वास्तुं तेजयत्रयं सर्वभूतनिवासदेवास्ते कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा भगवते स्वभावः करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि नारायणायेति समर्पयामि नारायणायेति समर्पयामि हरि ओम तत्सत्।